Hello, people in my phone. So here I am with a wild surmise. This is a theory that came to me as I was reading this latest Candles of Purgatory, Paradise, which I'm almost finished with, and it struck me that this could be an interpretation of the whole Travis Kelce shenanigans, and also like the 1989 release. So, I'll let you know what's going on in my crazy mind. That was connecting a lot of different things, and we'll see what happens. So, basically, these last, when we near the end of Paradise, in Canto 24, 25, 26-ish, he leaves the heaven of Saturn to go to the heaven of the fixed stars, which you could see, and he leaves it by going up a ladder into a cloud, which is exactly what happens in the visuals of the Eras tour. And also in the Karma music video, you can see her looking from beyond Saturn to the moon, as if she's behind Saturn. So Dante is tested on the 3 theological virtues before he can surrender and comprehend divine love, or the beatific vision that ends the entire Commedia. So he's tested in Canto 24 by Saint Peter on faith, and Canto 25 by Saint James on hope, and then Canto 26 by Saint John on charity/love, sort of like communal love, all of that before he can have this beatific vision of divine love. So I'm going to be talking a lot about, based on just listening to the Yale free lecture on the Divine Comedy by Giuseppe Mazzotta, and also Taylor Barolini, who is on in Columbia, the free lecture. And I just thought these are the 3 theological virtues, faith, hope, and charity, that are a big deal. And this is the heaven of the fixed stars, and I was annoyed, being an astrologer, that he doesn't actually talk about any fixed stars. He just considers that the saints are fixed stars. So I was like, ugh. Because fixed stars are actually really cool. But I'll show you. Where was that? Oh, I had a visual, man. Oh, this visual. That they just kind of turn into snowflakes, which snow is a whole other thing. So anyway. Back to my page. So anyway, there are these, love, charity, or love. And that's a side note. So, and there's these tests. So I was thinking, in this sort of meta-narrative of the PR drama and all of the Taylor Inferno stuff, could we be being tested on these 3 theological virtues in this sort of meta way? And the more I thought about it, the more I was kind of noticing synchronicities, and I just thought I'd share them. All of these virtues are intertwined, and they also face the limits of language, and the theme of exile runs throughout these cantos. The blessed people in heaven don't have to worry about these virtues because they are already saved, but in a lot of ways, the Commedia is a teaching tool, because he's saying, the church has failed us and the emperor has failed us, so we need more moral guidance, because how can, Dante's whole thesis is we have free will and we have reason, but we sometimes need a little bit of moral patterning, or moral role models to not fall into these specific sins and all of that. Then also he meets Adam, of Adam and Eve, and Lilith from the Garden of Eden, and he discusses original sin, and the Yoga says it's only possible. It is only in the language of the fall from Eden that it is possible to think about exile. Language, what is the language of God? The language of God is thought to, have 4 letters, how do we get to know God? And 4 letters, there's a whole theme of like God's name changing that goes throughout these cantos, but with 4 letters, I immediately thought of this, which I thought was funny. There are shorts that say area, because I was like, why are there 4 letters there? That's a weird thing to have. And I was like, what if it's a reference? Who knows, man? Who knows? And I was thinking of, the beach, the beachification of 1989. And that didn't really seem like a big stretch to me because of the seagulls were already on it. And if the beach I was thinking, the only beach in the in the Commedia is really the Purgatory beach, the entrance of Purgatory. But given the other sort of, heavenly themes, it could be this idea of baptism that we come to. Baptism and Exodus and how they sort of recall each other. That is one of those themes of this canto, or these few cantos, and exile, and how they're sort of like intertwined. So, faith. The first one he gets tested on is faith, and there's this metaphor of a banquet, communal, individual, and, there's throughout themes kind of connecting the Old Testament to the New Testament. There's this idea of manna from heaven during the exile, and then also there's this like continual theme of this communal banquet of like in heaven where the lion lies down with the lamb and the wolf. And individual choices are important, but the individuals also should be within unity in the community. So St. Peter had a crisis of faith. That's part of why he's the one who asks Dante about faith. And Jesus told him to walk on water, and he freaked out and thought he couldn't do it, and then he did it. And then this is an important show of faith, because to have a crisis of faith must not be seen as a denial. In fact, it's the very existence of doubts that prove that you are able to overcome those doubts and have faith. And there's this idea of faith sort of being the opposite, not being the opposite, but being intertwined with reason. Like, there's a way that you need to just check out of your intellectual mind and have an experience of faith, rather than trying to you can't really get through to faith through empirical means. And there was this idea in the apparently in the medieval era of this guy Tertullian, who said that I believe it because it is absurd. There's a sort of surrender, and faith can never really be an object of knowledge. There's a belief, not faith and knowledge go together. But if you could really know everything, then faith wouldn't be there. Faith in itself is a deeper mode of knowledge. It opens your eyes to a world that reason cannot. Part of why I wanted to show these 4 versions of 1989 is also that the last version is called the Rose Garden, which makes me think of the rose in the Beatific Vision at the end of the Commedia. And then also significant is that it started off with faith, and also, her being near the ocean to be a reference to this walking on water thing. Peter and his brother Andrew, who were these apostles. Peter eventually becomes the first pope. They were fishermen, so he met them and said, "Stop being fishermen, become fishers of men instead," because he liked puns, I guess. And then also there's a whole, the fish symbol. That's a whole other video. But anyway, so faith being, and then as we go, there's also this idea of blah 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 blah. Wait, I lost my place in my notes. I wrote these notes out